they can handle it. And here you go, folks. Deciding game. Who is going to make it through today, number 2 of week number 3? Is Wham finally going to make it through? Or is he once again going to be denied? Wham, a guy that in the first week was not able to make it through due to a frustrating meeting with, I believe it was Don Artie, and then once again got denied in week number 2 by Nushel Bear, who would go through to make the second day. Is it finally his time to shine? Let's find out.
So we've got him on the north and PuppyPaw on the south playing as French. Just out, it seems like both of them are just like evenly sheep scouting. But what I'm excited about this, like, it's kind of nice that we went full circle and ended on such an open map because we're going to see a lot of different options from both the players. Whereas like normally you could hole up in a corner or you have kind of some reserved resources. This is just full gameplay. So we're going to see a lot of knights out there. I think we're going to see a lot of camels, just a lot of four-legged creatures is what I hope to see.
It gives you mid-map aggression as well. The camels is a phenomenal solution to the French. And one thing I'd actually love to see to that whole idea of, like, you know, holding up your TC sitting in the corner that you mentioned. A few players did start to leverage this on Dry Arabia. Lucifron comes to mind, was building a secondary TC in the corner. And if Wham wants to engage in that, this is actually a very good map for it. If you check that northern corner, there's gold and berries back there. And you can link into the wood afterwards. So it wouldn't be the worst call in the world. But it would be risky initially going out there. One of the issues is when you play against the French like this, like there's a gap that you could be exposed in when you run out. Like the timing, no matter how fast you try to get a second town center, most of the time an Abbasid player will have his first knight prowling around your base when you get the resources for it.
Yeah, they're just going to get out so quickly. And like that's the mastery of the French. Like you expect to have a knight poking at your villagers. I don't think anyone plays and doesn't expect that to happen at this point.
Yeah, it's just kind of an inevitability of the situation. Now, usually what Abbasid players do is they'll go into racks early on, get a few spears out. It's actually remarkably good value because it's much easier to reach royal knights because of phalanx. When you get phalanx, you double the range of your spears, so you can actually catch them off guard. It's very weird to watch when you brace and you're like, hold on a sec, that knight, he doesn't look close. No, he is, because apparently the only way I can describe phalanx to you when it's one guy doing it is I think at some stage the Abbasids, they get duct tape and an extra spear handed to them and they just like get to work making a long spear.
I believe it. That's why I think that upgrade gets like almost forgotten because it's like it's available right away.
It's pretty cheap
within
too.
the first. Yeah, it's cheap, and like people are, oh, spears, like super cheap unit, like not worth a lot at the end game. But once you have the upgrade, like that's gonna be pretty vital for defense even.
Yeah, I think the issue is like it's 175 resources and the majority of it is gold. So a lot of players just kind of forget to keep mining gold to get their hands on it because they're too busy TC booming. But at the high level, more players have been appreciating it. If they go in the racks, it just makes logical sense because even in early skirmishes with melees where you're not getting your bonus damage out, you have to read into what phalanx is, like what it truly means in a fight. Melee mosh pits become really uncomfortable because you have to have your lines spread out and you're halving the time for your lines to spread out because instead of like shuffling around each other like a weird kind of queue forming, they just stab over each other. You've got double the damage going out in the initial clash as your lines spread. It's really efficient.
It's definitely like, and I've seen it, like, I think it's also like maybe like, I don't see a lot of players like practicing how to micro, or like at least when I play, like I don't know how to micro that with the charging. It is
Control
a lot.
Shift A, attack click, that's all I know.
Press A. Click the ground, not the unit.
I think
that's what everyone yells at me.
The easiest way is like meant to be like hitting the hole, but I think like there have been like buggy circumstances in the past. Like there's still a lot of weird behaviors. I remember like casting one tournament where I'll never forget. Like it hurts me because it's like I know similar bugs still just exist in the game. Someone's spearmen were bracing like 3 tiles away, and then they wouldn't unbrace because knights were near them. And then the player they were up against realized it was happening and then kept like running the horses in one tile closer, so they would keep bracing, and then the spearmen wouldn't run away, so the archers could kill them. Like we have to admit that this game isn't a year old yet. Everything hasn't been figured out. I'm glad to say that most of those absolutely stupid bugs are gone. Thank God as well, because like I don't even know how you end up doing. Like how does that even occur? It wasn't even replicatable was the problem.
Yeah, it was hard. I remember like the first week, just like complaints everywhere. But I'm just a baby, says the game. Like it's just a baby game, you know. It's still growing up. We're still gonna see some debugging happen, especially even like in the beginning when everyone was like really excited for the animation canceling to go away.
Hey, but it made the game so quick. Like, it was pretty ridiculous. Well, even if we had the old animation canceling, we wouldn't be able to see out of Wham here. Wham has actually suffered a lot here. He lost villagers on the gold line, and he also lost his scouts already. So PuppyPaw is getting mid-map control. It's problematic as well. Because of this, Wham can't just try to TC boom up. The pressure's going to mount, and that's why he's now going not only into the racks, but the stables, because PuppyPaw has already made that switch up into the archers.
Yeah, I've seen a few horsemen out on the field, or he needs to get some horsemen out on the field for him to be able to kind of like counter this as more and more knights start to trickle through for PuppyPaw. He is going for stone though, so
The bad news for Wham is if PuppyPaw is able to reach around the back onto that berry line, you can't do the horse push. Like, you can't actually bulk.
yeah.
The knights will just outmass you. It's very dangerous now for Wham. The spears have to be efficiently used. And another thing that PuppyPaw could just do, yep, I was about to say, if there's anything he knows how to do based on his performances today, it's an outpost. And that's going to force a reaction. Spearmen have to move out, but the archer's already in position. This is going to block him off of the stone. Remember that PuppyPaw is already in feudal, so he can get the arrow slits. Wham, he knows that Wham doesn't have the stone, because here's a little top tip for you guys at the higher level. Like, if you want to increase your boom up, if you want to get that easy elo, if you want to know when a person's close to a TC, do this. Lidakor already knows. Check it. And then, wait.
On the stone.
Oh, I just realized what I asked people to do. No one wants to do maths, right, guys? He needs 300 stone. He's still got over 100 to get. And that's exactly why PuppyPaw is now going to aggress him.
And such a good outpost placement because it denies the gold and it also denies the stone. So he's double denied on both of his like main resources.
Yeah, like for real, this is pretty infuriating for you've just spent your time getting 168 stone that you don't do anything with. What do you do with 168 stone?
You hold it.
I mean, if you're English, you can use it as like a weight metric on the scale, but like you're not even English. You haven't even got that. You're not allowed to build walls. That's against our rules. There's literally nothing it does, and now he's taking the stone away.
Stone. I mean, it looks like Wham is gonna have to push towards. He's pushing for the back corner gold.
Yeah, but
so hopefully that has.
But he doesn't need gold. He needs.
No, he needs stone. And he's walled off like the corner for him. So let's see if he goes. The other stone is out in the corner, the giant stone pile. So I don't even think he's gonna make his way out over there.
Maybe you could buy this stone.
I don't know. Is that what he's like?
Oh my god! Like, can you buy a map refresh? Like, if I okay, guys, I figured it out. I know how Wham does this now. Like, he chops more trees. Not in game. He just needs to go outside the house right now with an axe, and he needs to bring down a tree. So they have to postpone this match because this is grim right now. Like, PuppyPaw, I'd say is like 70% win right now, and it's crawling. It's creeping up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just the more military coming out. It's like 5 knights versus 5 horsemen, 7 spears. And like he has the archer mass to take down those spears. So even if they're out there racing themselves, they're going to get taken out. Yeah, he's not even going for stone yet. He hasn't found another stone plot or hasn't had a chance to push out.
I mean, this is one of the biggest growing punches for an Ambassador. Like, some people will see his spawn and go, oh, your golden stone is close to each other. That's great. Like, efficiency, less idle time. Woohoo! Yeah, but what are your 2 approaches to this French matchup? You can either TC boom or you can try to maybe rush castle. So you either need stone or you need gold.
Oh.
And
are they going to brace?
Oh.
Are they going to brace? Oh, there they go.
No, they're going to chase.
Yeah.
The archers aren't here right now, actually. Where did PuppyPaw send them? He's got 10 archers.
Yeah. I haven't seen them on the map.
Oh, did they go towards the berries, maybe?
Are they just chilling?
All right, find the archers. This is like, where's Waldo right now?
There's 2 camping. There's 1. Maybe they're all spread out.
Did he send them towards the berries, or is that just like Wham's troops? Like, what? What the hell are they doing? Are they in the coffee break? I thought that was just an English thing, but the French seem to do it too. And as a result,
and-
Wham's going to get his stone. I'm kind of at a loss for like, so he never pulled the archers forward. He had a few on the front line, but like he never pulled additional in. He was too paranoid about the horsemen.
Yeah,
Maybe,
he just so.
It feels like a missed opportunity actually, because like thinking about this realistically, PuppyPaw had a village on the front line. He could have just built an archery range there, and he would have been able to counter out all this. But instead, it looks like Wham's going to get to have his cake. Maybe he'll even get to eat it at this rate because he's still carrying the stone. You know what you do, folks? When you're behind your TC timings, the only correct answer is more TCs.
Yeah, more. We all know that. More and more TCs. So he's got his 2 TCs, and he's pushed out to the side. I don't know how much PuppyPaw has been able to get over there at this point now since he's dealing with this mini raid.
Yeah, this raid was pretty effective as well. It drew all attention back. It relieved pressure as your TC booms up. He got a few villages for it, and now look at them. It's a 4-point differential, and the French should have that around this point. Should be approaching that because they build villages quicker anyway. Now that's going to change because Wham has the second TC online and is almost ready for the third, just gathering the wood up now. Which stage PuppyPaw, he needs to decide, am I going to try to like TC boom up castle myself, or am I going to try to rush this game's ending? He has gone for the secondary TC, but I do feel like you missed an opportunity to really just stick it to Wham here.
Yeah, if he had committed to just like more knights, more archers, or at least kept his army like more at the front, like where those, if he had taken out just that like group of spears on that stone, that's all that needed to happen.
It's pretty much GG, and I don't think that's an over-exaggeration because Wham loses any like control of the game. Rushing castle from that situation wouldn't do anything for you. But now that he's going to have a strong economy, we could be looking at a castle up into like a hard push of camels. And I quite like that idea up against PuppyPaw right now because I don't see him reaching castle himself anytime soon.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, I'm sure that more... I think there's a little bit of a lull here in unit production. They're all just like scouting to see where everyone has spread as they both like spread out in different ways, trying to secure different resources with their second TC. It's almost like they're mirrored against each other with the different, like the buildings that they're building.
Yeah, like usually when you spread out like this, your goal is to weave in your base. Even more so for the Abbasses. Like notice the TC at the backside by Wham now. Walls. Oh, the timing for that.
Barely.
You can tell these guys play against each other. You can tell that they've been influencing each other. They just know when these are coming. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe Wham has been practicing with someone else. Maybe he's betrayed his bro here because it feels like Wham is really just reaching in, slivering his way into the base and doing some serious damage to PuppyPaw.
Yeah. He's got a pretty big massive spears, like all located, all spread out at the resources that are like most vulnerable for raids too.
It's so funny to just watch spears like this as well. Like Benny Hill's theme needs to be activated, right? Like they're never actually, like they're just not getting anything. Look how many spears are chasing these knights. It's intimidating, but you just never stop clicking away. And you're never able to reach them.
It's scary, but it'll never hurt you.
Yeah, you know, like when you have those cartoons where like, oh, it's really close and they're like arching their back to stay out of range, but it's not. They keep moving further away instead.
That's also my qualm with spears. Like they're strong when it's like they're stuck in place, but then it's like otherwise you're just playing Ring Around the Rosie for a lot of the game.
That's why it's fun to play Delhi. Oh god, I can't believe I said that. Like, he just built walls. You just create all these weird choke points with the spears. And you're like, haha! If you want to go back out, you have to come to... Oh wait, you're just going to stay in my base and kill my villagers, aren't you? Crap.
Pull them in. Oh, so a significant mass and first ram coming out. PuppyPaw.
It's quite surprising to me, actually, that neither of these players picked the Delhi. I'll double check this, like, maybe in production, but I wonder if Delhi was banned for both. I don't think it was, right? From what we saw in the selection.
This one was Roos, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so Delhi would have been a great pick. Both of them like playing on Dry Arabia, but, you know, let's not focus on the if spots, maybes. Let's focus on the bots of these players and see who's is going to get kicked here. It's PuppyPaw, baits the Spearman away. Archer's able to pepper them down. The Ram able to open up on the TC, and this is problematic for Wham because Wham doesn't have a clear counter. Look at his unit comp right now. 2 horsemen.
2 horsemen. I mean, if he could swing around, he's got a few archers coming out too. I mean, that's not gonna do much for the mass of royal knights that he has as they're healing.
No, and it's not going to do much for your TC that's about to go.
No, it's definitely done. It's definitely done. Let's see where although the villagers all came out. Oh.
Yeah, but they're not repairing, so it's still a TC down. And Wham, he is reaching up right now. Tech up. In the castle. I think Wham was being a greedy boy here. I think he was planning to just save on building, instead of building more troops, I think he wanted to transition, and PuppyPaw maybe caught him at the perfect time with this. And as a result, more rams, please.
And he's got spears coming on the way too.
Whams for ram. Rams for wham? It's so poetic.
Perfect.
Damn.
So does he want to die to the rams, or does he need to be the giver of the rams for that to be poetic?
Honestly, considering the games I've watched with him involving rams recently, I think if anything at this stage he's starting to build up an immunity to it. Or at least I'd hope so. He's at least building up a lot of spears with torches to deal with it. But now, with this tech up, it is going to give him a little bit more wiggle room. Look at the House of Wisdom's health there. 12,000 to get through. And remember, those rams, they only hit 200 every 5 seconds. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, so he definitely has time to just kind of build up his military, counter the archers as much as he can. Oh, but knights are getting in, so it might go down a lot faster.
And the torch damage. It's funny as well, because if PuppyPaw was able to do some additional damage here already, when this tech up comes out, like, remember that the House of Wisdom's health changes based on the potential it's actually got when it goes up. So it doesn't just, like, add another 5,000 health in. It's like, oh, if you're half health, you get half of the value of HP you get on the tech up.
We do see a mango coming out who's going to get a little bit of damage onto the ram. And push out those knights.
Wood. This wasn't in my edition of rock, paper, scissors, but apparently it's true.
It's true. If it was rocks versus wood, it would work. Although he's kind of doing a little dance right now, the mango.
Can we just, like, highlight how dumb rock, paper, scissors is as a game? Like, how does rock not win everything? Like, oh, you got paper? Holes the rock. Nice paper.
I don't know who came up with that. Because I'm like, I definitely could rip paper with a rock.
In theory, like, it's unfair because it doesn't tell you what you're attacking. So, for example, if you're attacking another human, like, maybe scissors wins because stabby. I guess it depends how big the rock is, though.
Yeah.
But definitely, I would never say paper wins. Oh, you got me. That paper cut. Damn. Which seems fitting because right now, Wham's defense force feels like it's trying to give paper cuts to PuppyPaw.
It is. He hasn't even torched down that ram that's still going strong. He's trying to take it out with a mango now. Oh, and then his upgrade just came through for his spearman. So hopefully that'll help buff him out just a little bit.
Did he actually get phalanx in the end? Because it's kind of a big deal when you're torching down rams. Because you're able to, like, torch from an extra distance. It does affect your torch distance as well. It's a pretty big deal. Okay, so he has got that, so he can burn them quickly. However, you get burnt quickly when you chase after archers like the... Oh.
And run away.
Okay,
I think they're turning around.
So back to our minigame, Jess. Right now, PuppyPaw got the rock and the scissors, and he's taped them together, and he's throwing it at Wham. Does paper win?
What kind of paper?
What kind of paper would save you there, Jess? What is it made? Like, I don't know. Adamantium paper? Is that a thing?
I think it could be a thing. I would hope so, but well, remember those wallets that they made were like unrippable? I don't know what that was made out of, but that could win. I mean, at this point, he needs a miracle paper.
Miracle paper. Well, he definitely needs to have a wham behind it. Like, maybe, okay, here's the miracle paper. It needs to be double Maganel, which is kind of like, instead of throwing a paper at someone, you're dropping like a few kilos of paper on someone, a ton of paper on someone. That's the way. And although he's breaching these defenses, like, the amount of paper you need to drop on PuppyPaw is increasing. Like, at a reasonable pace with the size of his knight count. And those knights, by the way, are about to become giant beefcakes. You might notice a certain horsey jumping up towards victory for PuppyPaw on the right side. That's Royal Bloodlines. It's coming in soon, and that's why he delays his attack, because once that's in there, he will dive non-stop into Wham's base.
He's definitely not going to get this wall up fast enough as the villager gets taken out. So they're just going to be self-healing little tanks on their way.
They're even going to spot the villagers trying to build up here.
Yep. They're just running through at this point.
A little bit ambitious, a little bit early.
We could see more production coming through. Not too much production coming through yet.
No, so like Wham's win condition this matchup now, he needs to like bulk up to 200 pop cap. And I would think that the better approach is to try and maybe reach Imperial. Because these spearmen, at that stage, you get boot camp and they become mighty chunky. And they're actually a remarkable counter towards Arbalitriers because the extra health plus the phalanx allows you to quickly gap close them and stab them down. Whereas PuppyPaw, like I see his win condition around like 25, 26 minutes. I think he wants to now bulk up into Knights and maybe switch Arbalitriers and then get 1 or 2 Trebuchets in towards Wham's base.
Yeah, and he hasn't even had the chance to heal up his House of Wisdom, it looks like. He's investing fully in his military.
Yes. And if you want an ironic statement, you could go with healing House of Wisdom sounds dumb. I want more resources. It is gonna like hurt him, but like it's so annoying. If you look at the House of Wisdom's health and remember that repair rate, like it's gonna take a very long time. Like you look at the number, and all you can think is, I could be gathering resources instead.
Yeah, because he's still at 3K.
Yeah, I mean, like how could PuppyPaw get through 3K? It's not like he already got through almost 9K.
Wouldn't take him just a few nights.
Wait.
Oh, look, another mango coming out.
You know what I love is in this matchup, somehow like the Abbasid player went for relics quicker than any other sim in the game. You don't see that. Like, I'd love to see like the raw stats of who builds like monasteries or the religious building equivalent. I feel like the Abbasids is the lowest out of all civs.
Probably.
I just love that poor monk. That poor monk being chased. They're like, come back here with this relic.
He's like, oh. It's like, I got it.
He didn't even try for a wall tool. He's just like, oh god. And that's the cartoon where you're running away from the spears, just like trying to dodge out your back. Oh god.
Yeah, and I'm sure the crossbowmen didn't help. Okay, so we've got a keep drop coming down.
Raid in the backside, so not going to find too much value here. Although PuppyPaw like doesn't care, he can throw away these knights for free. Like we haven't really discussed the villager deficit that Wham's still at. It's 119 to 98.
Yeah, and he's gonna get that significant discount with his keep drop too.
And that's going to allow him to just flood out knights. Remember that you flood out knights quicker with the French than most civs because you build School of Cavalry. Do you want to know why you build School of Cavalry, Jess? Because you're a pro gamer and you didn't misclick. There's no reason you should ever be building Chamber of Commerce over the School of Cavalry that decreases the production speed of all your stables by 20%. I guess I haven't
seen Chamber of Commerce. Like only in I've seen it in water maps.
Yes, water maps, but like even then, I prefer School of Cavalry because you can like you can build a proxy base and rush people on land. It's actually a really crafty maneuver. But yeah, Chamber of Commerce is also bugged. It doesn't do the correct trade values. Doesn't give the 30% increase for every resource. But even then, like it just feels so bad to sacrifice a 20% increase in production speed on every stable. Like folks, it's not just School of Cavalry. It's not that they need to be daisy chained in. You can build stables in every corner of the map separately, and they'll all push knights quicker. Or horsemen. Or scouts.
Yeah, it's so significant.
I don't know why you're building scouts.
No, we haven't seen a scout rush in a long time. Hopefully, don't see that.
Is it wrong? I kind of miss it.
No, it's not wrong, because I will say that it brings some joy to watch it happen.
It's like, it feels like one of those moments where you should just stick on some anime music. But then you know you're always going to cut short of like the best part of the track because the scouts die too quickly.
I know. Especially nowadays, they die much too quickly. Although like seeing streams of hundreds of scouts trailing out is kind of satisfying.
Like, actually, the kind of funny part is we didn't really see it that often out of the French, but it might be one of the best civs to do it with because of the stable production rates we talked about, but also because of Royal Bloodlines.
Yeah, that's true. They would be like a little bit stronger. Hopefully.
Maybe one day, but not today. I'm expecting something
No.
a little less cheesy between these two because
Yeah.
this really has reached a kind of gridlock, a stalemate right now. And PuppyPaw, one thing that he could do to get a leg up here is he could actually reach Imperial off the back of pop cap. Look at his numbers right now. He's almost pop capped. That'll be a quick boom up in the next 2 minutes. He could then go for an aggressive red pass drop, or he could just go for explosive artillery into a slow siege in.
Yeah, and he's already got some siege out. He's got mangonels and spring galls to counter some of the mangoes that have been coming out from Wham. I don't know if these archers are really going to be able to take down this tower very quickly, but spring galls can.
Wham looks like that type of person that creates this amazing maze for you to explore and make your way through, and it's really fun. Like he's done one of those hedge mazes, right? He's like trimmed it all.
Oh yeah.
And then just like PuppyPaw has just pulled, like he might just end up pulling out a giant hedge trimmer and making holes in the maze because like realistically they're just palisades and you can go through them with knights at this stage. So he needs to upgrade those into stone walls.
Yeah, he can really easily just buzz through, especially down the corner. If there's enough distraction going on, it'd be hard to notice like one knight burning down a palisade in the corner, just already making up an opening.
And it's to his benefit because right now Wham wants choke point warfare because it's going to allow him to delay the game, trade efficiently, and reach Imperial. Right now, PuppyPaw wants to flood through off the back of Imperial, and he is going to have to recalibrate his eco at this rate. Like, if he doesn't go for these raid throughs, he can't win a direct fight if you look at their military pop cap. He doesn't have the lead.
Yeah, the 11 knights are just going to cut it. I've seen them. They've tried to dive in several times to take out those mangonels, but they haven't been able to reach it. Due to the crossbowmen that Wham has.
The rule of war is if at first you don't succeed, I feel like we can send a few more 1,000 men into the breach. It's not like I'm charging the front line.
What is it if you keep doing things the same way, expecting a different result? It's called like insanity.
But we won't know if it's insanity until we try.
Rogue Ram.
Dude.
Where are you going?
Wham ram. Wham ram. If he gets the siege workshop, I'm just done.
Yeah.
It's actually dumb
trying.
because if he kills the siege workshop, the ram pays for itself.
Yeah. Oh,
No, don't back away. Commit. Oh, no. Come on.
getting torch.
The Rammy boy is short. Cut. But you know what? This game is going to be short. It's going to be Imperial on both sides. PuppyPaw, because he just went Imperial, Wham's going to follow up. He's locked out for a minute and a half. But you need to cut the house of his. Just cut. He's going to increase its health substantially, like the max health, but not the actual current health. And it's going to take even longer to repair later now.
It's just increased, just slowly. Yeah, but I mean, PuppyPaw is. Oh, he has several of the units. I don't know. Did he kill off some units, or he lost several units? But he was. They're both at the edge of the pop.
Maybe he was at like 140 before. Some of them are gone. Maybe just sent them into no man's lands. Like, yeah, here you go, guys. Take your shifts and go out there. It's safe, I swear. There's nobody with bows and swords waiting to kill. Why would you say that? No reason. Out you go.
Plus, Knight doesn't spot them yet. He's just like, I'll wait here behind the gold vein.
I just love this idea. Like, looking at the heights, there's just like this helmet poking up over the gold veins. Like, they have not noticed me yet because we wear gold hats. And this is gold.
A little bit of a raiding party coming in from Wham. Let's see if he picks up anything. There's not very many like villagers around. I don't know if he's villager hunting.
Oh, they're at the backside. If you actually go south of here, it's really grim for PuppyPaw if this gets spotted. All of his farms are set up towards the back corner. And if Wham ever realizes that, he can do a lot of damage to small group of horsemen. What?
Oh.
All right, someone didn't notify the cannon fodder they were meant to go in first there. That was a throwaway.
Yep. Oh, this bombard looks like it's about to go down.
Mango,
Sad.
though.
Oh.
Nope. That's
No
the
more
rip.
siege.
PuppyPaw's going to lose this fight pretty convincingly. Like, yeah. I mean, he doesn't want to actually elite up the archers. Right now, he wants to switch Arbitraries, so I don't blame him for just throwing away the archers, but you're not gaining anything out of this. Now you give opportunities for Wham to break out, and folks, this is now Imperial on Imperial. This is where this matchup gets interesting, because you can go for archers, and it's somewhat viable for the Abbasids. I'm not expecting it, but it's not the worst idea in the world when you get composite bows. Another cool detail here, notice those culverins coming out. PuppyPaw went for the College of Artillery. It's really good in this matchup because Wham can get culverins. This is the only way the French can get their hands on them.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of playing as French, because if you have another player who has a siege with longer range, you are so stuck. Like in this instance, like he needed that culverin to take out those 3 Springalds because of the line of crossbowmen. So that's where it provides like such an advantage. But you know, then you lose out on your red keep. So he's already got a good keep set up. I agree with this choice.
I think Red Keep in general has become a bait, and most players have identified it. Red Keep is really good when you can do like these aggressive keep drops to GG the game. If you can't do that, like College of Artillery offers so much. It's not just the culverins that are good, it's the Reboldiquins as well. Reboldiquins that are actually really good against the Abbasids because they usually try to go for like Spearman Zergs. And if they do that, well, it turns into less of a match of Age of Empires 4 and more a match of dominoes.
Exactly. They're also fun to watch. Well, it looks like we have 2 a lot of siege up on Wham's side.
It's starting to stabilize.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned about PuppyPaw. Like, I want to see him push more knights. He's still over-ecoing. Like, he's at 140 pop cap in the villager department. It's a very limited military force to push in.
Right. Yeah, I see 1 knight in the queue, so he hasn't been, which are good, especially for these siege that are kind of like on their own right now. Those would be totally exposed if you had a few knights to burn them down.
Just love how loud it gets when you get close in, when the Mangonel shots are coming out. Like, good God.
It's a battlefield.
It's a bloodbath right now. Horsemen to hold the knights at bay. Bad trade coming out from PuppyPaw because the horsemen, they actually tank the shots from the knights and then the spearman stab.
Oh, the siege might end up going down too if they can get around, especially now as the crossbowmen catch up.
It's kind of funny how Dry Arabia evolves like this at this stage of the game. It's such an open map, and it's kind of weird when you tune into like a 30-minute plus game, and this is how it looks. They always find a way to like carve up territory and turn it into like a stalemate warfare engagement.
They've completely funneled each other through the middle. And it looks like PuppyPaw has 2 of the sacred sites right now.
Yeah, so he can't go for like a win condition based on sacred sites at the moment. The funny part that I always find with the way that these maps get kind of walled off is they don't get walled off with stone walls. It's always palisades, and it's like, at what point could you just go right or left and not fight the big scary army?
Yeah, you could. Pretty easily too. Oh, like so it's like even these trebs, they're like pretty much taller than this entire palisade wall, but they're able to like sneak behind it and burn it down. But even if those vills got just like a little bit closer, they'd be able to take down the wall.
Horseman.
Oh gosh.
That's prime targets. He's actually going deep though. He's trying to deny the gold.
A lot of vills. Oh.
Farms as well. There's a lot in this area. So we're going to stab down several, spread out, and keep in mind that PuppyPaw's army isn't here, so he has to pull back for idle eco or pull the army across, and that should allow Wham to gain some ground in the center.
Yeah, it looks like he went for the farms just to avoid those towers, and as we were saying, pretty close up to the palisade wall, but if you drop a keep, I guess that's a pretty effective way.
Finally.
I don't know what those vills are doing though.
Well, at least they're not dying. That's the upside, is PuppyPaw is losing several more villages. I'm trying to think like what the goal is here, like long term. Like they're turning into an attrition warfare, and in that situation, we do have to start considering trade in this game. At which point you have to remember you're up against an Abbasid player, and the Abbasids find it a lot easier to get into trade and a lot more valuable if they get the trade win as well.
Yeah, his trade though is kind of trading post that would be most successful is kind of like right there, so it's kind of hidden between all the blue, the PuppyPaw blue you can see. So I don't know if he'll be able to even access his trade post as an Abbasid, whereas PuppyPaw has like a pretty clean line of sight to market on his side.
Well, looks like he's slowly getting for the defenses, though. Like, I do think Wham wants to set up for that hyper late game because both of them can trade quite well. Like, the French get to select what they trade for, whereas the Abbasids get a lot of additional resources. They get the Silk Road going, like, not Silk Road, but like, loads of different techs that benefit from the trade wing. Overall, this could turn into like a very, very long game. But as it crawls towards that, when you get to the infinite resources and you talk about the likely compositions that come out, the French tend to come out ahead because the Arbiters make a great backbone and they get access to the Culverins like you do as the Abbasids, but on top of that, the Reboldequins can ruin your front lines. That's the difference maker that can really turn this towards a French advantage.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna ever queue up a Reboldequin at this point, but or just like hold back, wait for the gold to back it up.
I think he's waiting for the transition because right now Wham isn't giving him much reason. Like, so far he's been mainly reliant on range units. But with more and more horsemen coming out, it does get a lot more desirability behind it.
No boiling oil yet on the keep.
No.
Forward keep drop, like he's, you know, he could inch forward, but I think like you're saying, I agree with you. Just holding back, waiting for that late game, being able to save up enough because Wham, you know, PuppyPaw is holding on to quite a bit of food.
Yeah.
And Wham is not floating any of his res, even though they have pretty close.
Losing his mind right now. Like, more than all, still not been taken. It's not even being researched on the back keeps, which is kind of weird out of Wham here. It would be doing a lot of work, considering that PuppyPaw has identified you don't have the ball and all, and he's going to dive. Like, right now, the reason why PuppyPaw keeps throwing troops away is because he's getting more resources on the mid-map. He wants to ensure that Wham never thinks about opening up trade, because to do so, you'd have to, like, idle a lot of your military aggression you would need to save up. So by taking out these forces each time, he forces reinvestments. And another concern for Wham is think about how many keeps he keeps building. Stone runs out fast on this map, and he's in a situation where his reserves in his base are gone. So he has to play out to the midfield if he wants to keep rebuilding his defenses. Otherwise, PuppyPaw will now start to gain ground.
Yeah, both of them don't have any stone incoming at this moment, so we probably won't see another keep drop for a while. And I think for Abbas, it's such a valuable tool because it's a way to huddle your military. It's a way to keep them, quote unquote, safe, and have them just like slow healing as you're fighting.
Yeah, with the medical centers, which is a phenomenal tool. Even works on the siege, but like so far, Wham isn't really getting value. He's kicking the can down the road. But if he's not careful, he could end up kicking the bucket here because now his eco's exposed. PuppyPaw moves in. Just small groups of horsemen at a time. Meanwhile, the Arbitrator Death Ball continues to build. Behind it, Culverins to always protect against any sort of Mangonel counter coming out from Wham.
Well, they're going to try to dive in and take out these Culverins, but I don't know. I don't think you can. Are they? I think they're just
really
like.
Want the Arbors. I'm getting a little bit concerned. Wham is actually straining himself too hard. Look at his food. He can barely keep up anymore.
Yeah, and he just lost a lot of vills from that little raid. I mean, I know they're cheaper, but still 25 food adds up.
I always just love how Abbasid villages are so much cheaper. Like, I think they should be like, I don't know, slimmer to represent it. Like, you must be malnourished if you've got like half the food intake required for a regular human being from any other civ.
Maybe you could just make them shorter, just like tiny.
Damn, imagine like a nerf comes out, Abbasid villages now have half health. Dude, they're already having a hard enough time being a civ, and we're seeing it again in the late game.
Yeah, this just proves that, and also there's, you know, his House of Wisdom doesn't have any of the full upgrades that are available to him, so that's like...
Oh, he never got boot camp. Which is interesting because he was pushing a lot of crossbows and spears at one stage, and boot camp is cheap, very cheap. Look, how do you not have boot camp? Just highlight the resources again. That's insane. It's 35 food and 87 gold, and yet he doesn't have it.
So, yeah, I mean, he could definitely afford it now, or it would have been a way more advantageous for him to afford it a lot earlier in that game.
Abbasid players right now losing their crap. And it's kind of crazy because like Wham is a very good Abbasid player, but like missing out on boot camp alone is nuts to think about. Medical centers as well, I believe, wasn't researched despite the fact he's been building so many keeps on his front line. Like a lot of missed opportunities, ones that are much cheaper because he did get preservation of knowledge.
Like, even in this situation where the vills are in the influence of the keep, they could be healing up as they're getting shot at. Probably not very efficiently, but at least just a little bit.
Yeah, it helps in the fight somewhat, like when you're layering your assaults, but The way he's layering assaults, it's going deeper in his base. And folks, if you just look a little bit north, you'll notice that Wham is very close to being landmark snipe the situation. The House of Wisdom was never repaired, and the town center behind it isn't exactly what I call mighty chunky.
No. There's no defense around it whatsoever. So it's a little bit exposed, especially as an Abbasid player. You only have two options really. You have a tank, but that tank had become not a tank pretty quickly in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, the Rams actually paid off, is what we're getting towards here. The early damage done leaves him very vulnerable. And it's why Wham can't even wait for PopCap. Look at him right now. His villagers are getting slaughtered. PuppyPaw is about to double him up on the villager count. And we won't even start to look at the military count. He's completely discounted right now. The Camel Archer transition also is a big burden at 240 resources each. And now the movement in. PuppyPaw looks to end this game as he begun it, with the outpost right next to where the mining camps were for Wham.
With 100 villagers making an outpost.
It's what do you mean overkill? This isn't overkill. I'm just rebuilding the remains of what I once had here. And he looks to once again just fork his flag down in Wham's base. And there's the keep we were expecting. He was waiting on the stone. This keep drop is going to block him out on his own House of Wisdom. And once the House of Wisdom goes down, the TC is even easier to kill. Remember, you've got the fire armor right now. Extra 5 torch resistance as long as this building exists. But it won't exist for long. And neither will Wham. Once again, unable to make it to day number 2 of the Road to Wololo Weeklies. This time, he gets slayed by his bro.
Oof. Brotherly love. Brotherly love. Also, did you see PuppyPaw at the end had totally denied trade with 100 hours in the corner?
It's there's no possibility. He understood the Wham's angling for it. Keep in mind that Wham sent a bunch of crossbows and the trebs down there earlier. It was very obvious. It wasn't just about taking the gold away because the gold was almost done with. He does need the gold to set up the trade, but logically, it's the only way he gets back in this game.